in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be our joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. One more time. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be our joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
We come together by the light of the chalice flame. Please join me in our words for lighting the chalice. And if you are joining us on Zoom, we invite you to light a candle or chalice at home along with us. We light this flame as a symbol of new life enlightening our way, as a symbol of the warmth in every human heart. Let all the lighting of this flame rekindle in us the inner light of hope, of peace, of love. May we share that light with all people.
Good morning. We're so, oh, I'm kind of short. There, yeah, oh, hello. I feel so much bigger now. Good morning. We're so glad to welcome you to the Fox Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship this morning. Whether you're joining us here in the room or virtually on Zoom, we're so grateful to see you. I'm Suzanne Marnaka. I have been a registered nurse for 45 years, and I am currently retired. Our family came to the fellowship in 1991 when we first moved to Wisconsin. We had been members of 2 other UU fellowships prior. I currently serve on the Generosity Ministries team. I sing in the choir, serve as a Becoming a Teen or in the BATS program, and attend my beloved Spillet Sisters group as I am able. If this is your first time visiting the fellowship, I want to extend a special welcome. When we joined the fellowship, we were meeting in the old Moose Lodge on Superior Street in Appleton. It was charming, but the building was not accessible for people with limited mobility. Parking was difficult, and there were steep stairs to the entrance. The only restroom was located in the basement along another set of steep stairs. Anybody remember this? Oh, okay, there you go. All right, my old Moose Lodge friends. I recall helping a beloved elder navigate those steps to the restroom, and I thought, wow, this is dangerous. There have been so many changes since 1991 in our fellowship, including working together to raise money to build and move into this lovely and much more accessible space. I'm happy that we now have ample parking and several accessible bathrooms. Additionally, we added a position to focus on engaging in congregational life. Holy smokes, who among us have never used Marie Luna to get them connected? Come on, anybody? Oh, we all have. Our committed ministers have changed, and they bring us new and exciting ideas and challenges. Why are we here? How do we better support our LGBTQ and questioning members? How do we identify and challenge ourselves and others to recognize and change racial discrimination? These are a few questions that we have heard and we embrace. I love this place because I can be who I am and also explore other ideas in a safe manner. This fellowship has married all of our children and welcomed and dedicated most of our grandchildren. The fellowship has provided support during our illnesses and deaths. I value and support and feel surrounded by love each time we meet. I support our fellowship and members who embrace listening to each other and questioning as a spiritual practice. Our Director of Congregational Life, Marie Luna, would be happy to help you get connected. And feel free to chat with her after the service or send her an email. I thank everyone who has made this morning's service possible. It's time now to settle in. Take a deep breath. Become aware of your body wherever you are. Allow yourself to come into this sanctuary so we can be fully present to this time together.
Good morning. We are gathered together in this space and online from home, and I want us to take a moment to greet each other. So if you are joining us by Zoom this morning, in a moment we invite you to make sure your camera is on so that we can show your screens here in the sanctuary and wave to you. But if you are here in this room, I invite you to sort of turn generally toward the middle of the room and wave to the people at home so they can see who's here. Adam's gonna show us what it looks like on screen. Hi, everybody. We're so happy to see you. And then we want to say hi to the people who are joining us on Zoom. Hi, everybody. Oh, we're so glad to see those of you who are joining us on Zoom, see your faces. I want to make an announcement that our Assistant Minister Allie is here today, but she is assisting Kim in religious education. And we're grateful for her help because our religious education assistant, Eve, for health and personal reasons, needed to step down from her position last week. That was in the scroll, and there will be an email that goes out to families, but I just wanted to let you all know about that change. We're working on hiring someone new, and we are facing a dire shortage of religious education volunteers. So if anyone is willing to give one Sunday a month at the second service with our children, we would greatly appreciate it. Our responsive call to gather is adapted from the Reverend Christian Schmidt. When I indicate like this, your response is, "We welcome all of who you are." Let's try that together. We welcome all of who you are. No matter who or what you are welcome here. Let's be clear. Here we welcome goblins and ghouls, saints and sinners. We welcome all of who you are. We welcome angels and devils, zombies and werewolves, vampires and witches. We welcome Bigfoot and Littlefoot, sea monsters and sky monsters, ghosts, the living and the undead. We welcome all of who you are. In short, we welcome people, monsters, and all other manner of creatures. Here we welcome you. We welcome all of who you are. And in the spirit of that welcome, I want to just honor what a whirlwind 18 or 19 months we have all just survived. It has been a time of transition, innovation, creativity, and compromise here at the fellowship. We have found our way forward despite the need for distance. Many people continue to remain very active, even online, while we understand that others were not able to do that. In fact, some new folks even found us for the very first time during our online time. And today, we want to honor the people who officially joined the fellowship as members during our time of online-only gatherings and since we have moved to multi-platform services. We honor their commitment to the fellowship and to our faith. We offer ourselves to you, new members, as a community of support, love, and challenge, and we invite your active participation as the best way to be connected and to make this place stronger with your presence. I will name the names of our new members, and I invite you to please hold your applause until we reach the end of the names. Dana Johnson, Eric Johnson, Mary Ann Van Leeuwer, Alex France, Wendy Siebers, Melody Billington, Jen Anderson, Cassie Hintzman, Lisa Johnson, Satya Kavanaugh Vanderloop, Jen Lewis, Aaron Schmitz, Denise Smits, Colleen Prendergast, Greg Weaver, Chris Winters, Dale Llewellyn, and Elaine Llewellyn. Not bad for a pandemic. Welcome, so much welcome to each of you, to our new members. We're so glad that you are here.
We as Unitarian Universalists strive to encourage a spiritual stance of abundance, rejecting a scarcity mindset without fear or shame about resources. We take this time each week as a moment of practice, of taking stock of what we have, cultivating peace when we need to ask for support, and giving with joy whatever we are able to offer. For those of you who would appreciate some support, we are here to help. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Reverend Christina, Reverend Leah, or Minister Allie if you are in need of financial or emotional support. It's a joy for us to be able to offer help on behalf of this beloved community. If you are one who is feeling stable and able to give, we ask that you do so in that spirit of abundance. There are many ways to give to the fellowship. You can give of your time and talent, and we especially need financial resources to allow our ministries to thrive for the months and years to come. If you are here in our sanctuary today, you can come up to one of our offering baskets, which our ushers are holding near the back of the sanctuary. You can raise your hand if you want an usher to come to you, or anyone can donate online or via our text to give function on a smartphone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your gifts are always deeply appreciated.
Please join me in singing our settling song. This is 1002 in the Teal hymnal, Comfort Me. The words are also right there. You can see it's repetitive. We're going to be doing the first verse twice through. Here we go. And comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
I love that song. Thank you, Steve. Our first reading is entitled, Why Won't Scientific Evidence Change the Minds of Loch Ness Monster True Believers? By Arturs Loggins, a postdoctoral philosophy research fellow, published on The Conversation in 2018. You may have noticed a curious recent announcement. An international research team plans to use state-of-the-art DNA testing to establish once and for all whether the Loch Ness Monster exists. Regardless of the results, it's unlikely the test will change the mind of anyone who firmly believes in Nessie's existence. Genomicist Neil Gemmell, who will lead the international research team in Scotland, says he looks forward to demonstrating the scientific process. The team plans to collect and identify free-floating DNA from creatures living in the waters of Loch Ness. But whatever the eDNA sampling finds, Gemmell is well aware that the testing results will most likely not convince anyone. A long-standing theory in social psychology helps explain why. According to cognitive dissonance theory, first developed by Leon Festinger in the 1950s, people seek to avoid the internal discomfort that arises when their beliefs or attitudes or behavior come into conflict with each other or with new information. In other words, it doesn't feel good to do something that you don't value or that contradicts your deeply held convictions. So to deal with this kind of discomfort, people sometimes attempt to rationalize their beliefs or behaviors. Loch Ness Monster true believers may be among those impacted by cognitive dissonance. Giving up their favorite theory could be too challenging. And yet, they'll be sensitive to any evidence they hear about that contradicts their conviction, which creates that feeling of discomfort. And to overcome the dissonance, it's human nature to try to explain away the scientific evidence. So rather than accepting that researchers' inability to find Nessie DNA in Loch Ness means the monster doesn't exist, believers may rationalize that the scientists didn't sample from the right area, or they didn't know how to identify the unknown DNA, for example. Cognitive dissonance may also provide an explanation for other science-related conspiracy beliefs, such as flat Earth beliefs, climate change denial, and so on. It may help account for reckless descriptions of reliable media sources as fake news. If one's deeply held convictions don't fit well with what the media say, it's easier to deal with any inner discomfort by discrediting the source of the new information rather than revising one's own convictions.
Our second reading today is study, Americans Are as Likely to Believe in Bigfoot as in the Big Bang Theory, by Christopher Ingram, published in the Washington Post in 2014. Human beings are, in general, a superstitious lot. Our tendency to see patterns where they don't exist and to falsely apply cause to effect may have helped us keep alive back when we were little more than a band of frightened critters scurrying about the savannah. Those tendencies linger to the present day, reflected in our stubborn belief in completely irrational things. Rabbit's feet, horoscopes, a return to the gold standard. The Chapman University Survey on American Fears, a comprehensive study of the fears, phobias, and irrational beliefs of the American people, was just released this week and contains an interesting section on belief in the paranormal. The results are drawn from a nationally representative sample of 2,500 American adults. It finds that belief in certain paranormal phenomena, like influencing the world with physical thought and foretelling the future with dreams, are fairly widespread. On the other hand, few Americans actually believe in astrology, with Geminis to the, never mind, okay. To the contrary. It's instructive to compare Americans' belief in the paranormal with their understanding of scientific knowledge. For instance, a 2014 AP poll found that 51% of Americans said they were confident that childhood vaccines are safe and effective. This is roughly the same proportion of Americans who believe houses or rooms can be haunted by spirits. Slightly over 40% of Americans believe in UFOs. This is considerably higher than the share of Americans who are confident that global warming is real, that life evolved through natural selection, or that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. About as many Americans say they believe in Bigfoot as say they're confident that the universe began with a big bang. So, interesting folks that we live with. More power to us.
Switch the order of service around. We're going to be doing our special music first and then the hymn after the sermon. It'll make more sense. And I just want to let you all know this is a very fun, very, very silly song, so you are welcome to have some fun with this. And we apologize in advance if you get very scared.
6 feet?
3 feet's good.
3 feet.
Where'd the milk go? There it is. What's that noise? What's that sound? Is there anyone else around? Reveal your claws, your hungry jaws. There's a monster in this hall. Are those windows locked, the doors? Under the chairs, beneath the floors. Don't try to hide that you're inside. There's a monster in this hall. Monster, monster, my back's against the wall. Monster, monster, there's a monster in this hall. Creeping closer, almost here. I can feel it drawing near. We're face to face, I've lost the race. There's a monster in this hall. Hey, wait, it looks like me. I'm the only one I see. No fear or the monster, monster in this hall. Monster, 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 monster. Back's against the wall. Back's against the wall. Monster, 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 monster. There's a monster in this hall. Monster, 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 monster. Back's against the wall. Back's against the wall. Monster, monster, monster. There's a monster in this hall. I'm the monster in this hall. I'm the monster in this hall.
Monster, or monstrous, refers to diverse, unusual, frightening, wicked, ugly, or cruel creatures or persons. These words also refer to unusual or unnatural size or shape, such as a monstrous wave, at sea. There may be some overlap with unusual and exceptional events or persons, such as monstrous acts in wartime or extreme behaviors deviating from social norms. What creates a sense of awe may have overlap with the monstrous, and literature and cinema portray the monstrous being who shows a strong and humane side despite having unusual characteristics. Beauty and the Beast, Quasimodo, the Iron Giant. Joseph Campbell's work on mythology portrays the appearance of the unexpected and unusual creature or person who initially creates fear or surprise, but later emerges as a guide and mentor on a difficult path or journey. However, we may tend to polarize our assessments of people and messages when they convey a sense of threat, danger, or impending aggression. This runs deep in human communities, where diverse religious, cultural, political, or ethnic differences may stoke anxiety and stigma, and even aggression. Dehumanizing persons or communities may set the stage for monstrous actions and tragedies, as seen in Jim Crow rules of segregation and fascist mobilizations of ethnic oppression and cleansing, or media images such as those in Birth of a Nation. I am much concerned by the failures of successful dialogue on how our communities may best maintain health and minimize the spread and toxicity of COVID-19. This is occurring even as we have seen the adverse impacts of demonization of our government, the minimization of medical knowledge and guidance, the portrayal of well-informed authorities such as Dr. Fauci as some sort of political monster. Anxiety and fear are the major triggers for polarization between us and them, between vaxxers and non-vaxxers. Unfortunately, as emotional and medical threats escalate, logic and compromise are some of the victims in our national dialogues. The great risks now are fear, defensiveness, and polarization, such that reflection and compromise are stifled. It is ironic that the Spanish flu of a century ago provoked research that found that social distancing and masks were preventive. So we have research dating back 100 years. What seems most damaging and perhaps monstrous is our current inability to find a consensus on how best to protect our collective well-being in the midst of the increasing polarization of community health versus individual rights to choose what is potentially cruel and threatening to others, such as a refusal to mandate vaccinations or masks, or to support safety measures for specific sites such as schools. We must calmly articulate what is most likely to maintain what we value and to enhance our physical health as a society, while being champions of compromise and the best facts we can muster. Clearly, we can expect continued polarizations in our beliefs and the potential for demonizing or being demonized. Be calm, maintain dialogue, do your homework, and intentionally bridge gaps among our communities and our ethnicities, as well as maintaining respect for our differences, even as difficult as these things may seem in the face of a persistent and escalating pandemic.
You might already know this about me because I've shared it from the pulpit, or you might not, but I love Halloween. I love the spookiness, the costumes, the candy, the cobwebs, the monsters, which is weird because I hate to be scared. I really, really hate it. I get this visceral miserableness when I watch a horror movie. I have memories of going through a haunted house with friends when I was a teenager, clinging to the back of the person in front of me, hiding my face the entire time so I couldn't see anything, sobbing the whole time. I was a lot of fun in that haunted house. I don't subject myself to these tortures anymore because why bother? I get that it's fun for some people to feel scared, but not me. So what is up with my love of Halloween? I think Halloween provides a limited, controlled, safe space to dip my toes into the fears that I hold at bay most of the year. Skeletons and ghosts provide a chance to explore death from a safe distance. Ghouls and goblins allow us to play around with questions of good and evil. Cobwebs and spiders are an opportunity to come face to face with my own irrational arachnophobia. And then there is the communal aspect of Halloween. I love trick-or-treating. I participated in the tradition probably too long into my teen years. As an adult, I have loved being at the door to greet young and old alike with treats of all kinds, oohing and eyeing at their costumes. And now that I have young kids, watching them partake in that neighborhood fun is pure joy. It's the one holiday that has nothing to do with family or people you love. It's this collective agreement that we're all going to share our resources, candy, treats, with random strangers, children in our community. It's like a socialist's dream. But truly, I think that is ultimately why I love Halloween so much, because after the spooky comes the community. It's a chance to hold each other in this experience of our collective fears. And that is why this month, this October, we're celebrating our second ever Monster Month. We did this a few years ago, we're trying it again, and who knows, maybe it will become an annual thing. Each Sunday, we will explore a different monster or set of monsters to help us uncover the fears and evils that we create as a society and the way we make monsters out of these things. Some of the monsters will be imaginary, some will be real, and all will be metaphors for something bigger and deeper going on in our minds and our hearts. And we will do this work of examining fears together. We will hold each other in the power and love of our community in the true spirit of Halloween. Today, I want to kick off Monster Month by exploring two monsters, Nessie and Bigfoot. Nessie is the sea monster that is said to reside in Loch Ness, a freshwater body of water in the Scotland Highlands. Some believe that she is a plesiosaur, a long-necked dinosaur that somehow evaded extinction, while others think that she is a one-of-a-kind monster. Despite scant evidence for her existence, people flock to Loch Ness annually to get a glimpse of this monster. On the other hand, Bigfoot is a land-dwelling mammal, a huge, some say 10 to 15 feet tall, hairy ape-like hominid creature that is said to roam the forests. Purported spottings of Bigfoot have occurred all around North America, with about 1/3 of claims originating in the Pacific Northwest. Claims of sightings can be traced back to Native American folklore. In fact, the word Sasquatch comes from the Halcomelum tribe of British Columbia. But the event that kicked off the modern search for Bigfoot was in 1958. It involved a logging crew in Humboldt County, California, where enormous footprints were found in the mud. Many years later, a member of that crew admitted he faked the prints himself. 10 years later, though, after that footprint incident, two rodeo men named Patterson and Gimlin took a short, grainy 18mm film showing a huge, hairy creature walking upright across the woods in northwest California, and it led to Bigfoot mania. In researching this sermon, I explored both of these monsters at length, learning far more than I ever knew, far more than I really wanted to know about both of them, and asking, why is it that despite the lack of evidence, or even evidence to the contrary, do belief in these creatures still exist? Unlike Dracula or zombies, which hardly anyone would debate are real, Bigfoot and Nessie have huge followings of believers, hunters, even research organizations dedicated to finding and proving their existence. And this just made me go, huh. Especially now, at a time when social media and the internet have blurred the lines between information and disinformation, I wanted to ask the question, why? Why are people attracted to conspiracies? What makes them so hard to eliminate? And what does our faith offer us to be in community with people who believe and think things that are diametrically opposed to our own understanding of reality? In January 2021, this year, not long after the storming of the US Capitol by a mob inspired by the QAnon conspiracy, and in the midst of a global pandemic being fueled by anti-science conspiracies, the American Psychological Association interviewed Dr. Karen Douglas, a social psychologist in Kent, the United Kingdom, about her research on why people believe in conspiracy theories. Among other things, Dr. Douglas said this, and it's a bit lengthy, so hang with me. Quote, "There are 3 types of motives that motivate people to believe in conspiracies: epistemic, existential, and social. Epistemic refers to the need for knowledge and certainty, and the motive or desire to have information. When something major happens, when a big event happens, people naturally want to know why that happened. They want an explanation, they want to know the truth, and they want to feel certain of the truth." That's number 1. Number 2, existential motives refers to people's need to feel safe and secure in the world. When something happens, people don't like to feel powerless. They don't like to feel out of control. And so reaching to conspiracy theories might allow people to feel that they have information that at least explains why they don't have control. Research has shown that people who feel powerless and disillusioned tend to gravitate more towards conspiracy theories. And the final set of motives we would call social motives, and these refer to people's desire to feel good about themselves. And one way of doing that is to feel that you have access to information that other people don't necessarily have. It makes you feel special. End quote. And so as we think about conspiracies this morning, I really don't want to just hold up a bunch of them so we can all dismiss them as bonkers. That's not helpful. In fact, that article that we heard earlier about the people who believe in Bigfoot and UFOs, it actually goes into further detail that I didn't share in the reading about partisan affiliation along with these beliefs. And in fact, folks who would vote Democrat tend to have far more beliefs that we would consider irrational than folks who would vote Republican. So I don't want us to all laugh and say, oh my gosh, that is so ridiculous. I can't believe that other people would believe this. All of us are prone to these beliefs, and it's not helpful for us to just dismiss them. So I want us to think about them today. There are very real ramifications for these beliefs. People are dying, and our hospitals are overrun because of anti-science conspiracies. People were murdered in the January 6th coup attempt, and countless people are facing federal charges because they were sucked into a conspiracy. Some ideas are more dangerous than others, but none of us are immune from believing things that are illogical. The article that we heard earlier about the results of the Chapman study on American fears stated that more people believe that our dreams can foretell the future than are confident that human activity is causing global warming. What is it that motivates these beliefs? Dr. Douglas's 3 motivations, epistemic, existential, and social, or what I might simplify to call understanding, power, and self-esteem, help me make sense of all of this. Because isn't that ultimately what we all want? Understanding, power, and self-esteem. Number one, understanding. We want to feel like we understand the world, like we have the information. And right now there is so much information. It's very hard to discern reputable sources from dangerous ones. I recently bought a few pairs of high-quality winter boots for my family, getting ready for the winter here. I was so excited because I found them at a deep discount online. And then I realized the next day that it was a fraud. I had fallen for an online scam. I'm pretty knowledgeable about that kind of thing. I help fellowship members when they are not sure if what they're experiencing is a scam. But it was really hard to spot. I don't blame people for finding information that they think is coming from a reputable source, but isn't. And like in that Loch Ness article that we heard earlier, cognitive dissonance can be really hard. Once you decide that something is true or real, learning that it isn't can be painful. Not only did my realization that I had fallen for a fraud hurt my wallet, it hurt my pride. I'm supposed to be smarter and more savvy than that. When the stakes are even higher, the cognitive dissonance can be almost impossible to overcome. That is why we have people lying in intensive care units, dying of COVID, insisting that COVID doesn't exist. Cognitive dissonance can be really, really hard. We also want to feel like we have some control, especially in uncontrollable times. This pandemic has heightened that need to feel some control, and so people are taking very strong stands to the left and to the right, so much so that finding common ground is almost impossible. If you want to send your children to school, you hate teachers, right? So strong. Finally, people want to feel good about ourselves. We all want to believe that we are good and smart and special. And sometimes, especially in times of stress, the fastest route to that feeling is to believe that other people are the opposite. Bad, dumb, ordinary, sheep. In thinking about these fears and anxieties as monsters, Minister Allie and I were having a conversation, and we realized that conspiracies are, in some ways, misplaced monsters. There's a real fear, something true and scary. But in an effort to find truth, power, and self-esteem, those motivations, the real monster is traded for a different, maybe a made-up one. Maybe that misplaced monster feels less scary or more controllable somehow. In researching Bigfoot, I learned about a very recent documentary series that just aired in April on the streaming service Hulu. It's called Sasquatch. It's a true crime show that investigated some brutal murders that took place decades ago in a marijuana farming area in Northern California. People had come to believe that Sasquatch, Bigfoot, had perpetrated the murders. This is one example of my misplaced monster theory. Rather than acknowledging that the real monsters, humans who killed undocumented immigrants over drugs, territory, and money, blame it on a mythical creature that no one can prove or disprove exists. Afraid of the direction our country is going, the monster is really an invisible cabal in control of the government. Afraid of the virus ravaging our nation, the monster is really the scientists. Recognizing that there's a real fear here, that real human motivations beneath that fear has led to a belief in the conspiracy, helps move us away from anger and division, which can be the real monster that rises up in us when we're trying to think about these things. It can bring us instead toward empathy and connection. Because the more people feel isolated, ignored, and ridiculed, the more they will become entrenched in their need for those motivations, their commitment to their conspiracy beliefs. Our Unitarian Universalist faith, when practiced in daily life, that's the trick, practicing it, gives us tools to help make us less likely to fall prey to conspiracies. It can also help ground us in our values when we engage with those whose beliefs might stem from conspiracies. So going back to those 3 motivations explained by Dr. Douglas: first, knowledge and certainty. Our faith calls us to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The reason that we've been practicing the Wonder Box, and we will again, and that's actually our Wonder Box. Isn't that cool? The reason we practice the Wonder Box is to help us remember that our faith begins from a stance of wonder, a stance of not knowing, of open-mindedness, developing a humility around knowledge, not always needing certainty, can help to ward off conspiracies. It can also help us be flexible in our thinking when we engage with those who are caught up in them. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should be open-minded to dangerous conspiracies, but rather that we can have a stance of wondering why or how someone might believe what they do and approach with curiosity rather than hostility. Second, safety and power. Like with knowledge and certainty, our faith encourages a practice of letting go, of not clinging to the need to be in power or control. Unitarian Universalist congregations have historically, traditionally been filled with people with the majority of the power in our society. People with material resources, education, white privilege, social connections. And as we as a faith have begun to examine the role of that power in recent decades and intensely in recent years, we've come to realize that we need to give up some of that collective power in service to the good of our larger community. So this is a practice, a spiritual practice of giving up power, not clinging to it. But individually, it can still be a struggle for many of us. This is why grounding ourselves in spiritual practices that help us feel connected to the earth, to the universe, or to God can help us feel safe and can prepare us for the act of letting go of control and power, which makes it less likely to fall prey to conspiracies. We will be doing a series of services this year on spiritual practices, and so I hope that you will come and participate in those. And now third, that social motivation, the need for self-esteem and specialness. Our first principle affirms that each and every one of us has inherent worth and dignity. We are enough just as we are. Our congregations strive to help each person find community and connection wherever you are on your journey. The more that we practice this principle, and it is the one that needs the most practice, I promise. Easy to say, hard to live. The more that we practice this principle, the more we are inoculated against conspiracies. We don't need to be more special than other people. We're special already. Similarly, holding that first principle in our hearts when we engage with those who believe in a conspiracy can help us connect with empathy, so that we might be more likely to have a dialogue and make progress rather than just pushing that person away. I believe deeply that our Unitarian Universalist faith is life-giving and life-saving. I do not believe it is the only life-giving or life-saving faith, but I do believe that we have a gift in the values and practices that this tradition offers to us, but only if we use them. So it is my hope that these values of curiosity, openness, empathy, as practiced in our values, our principles, and sources, can help us to face the monsters out there, both real and imagined, as hard as it may be. And in the meantime, maybe Nessie really is out there, after all. Amen. And may it be so.
Please join me in our hymn this Sunday, 1012, in the teal hymnal. The words are also up in the Zoom chat and on the screen there. When I am frightened. We will do all three verses. When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me, sing to me quietly? Will you share some of your stories with me? If you will show me compassion, then I may learn to care as you do. Then I may learn to care. When I am angry, will you still embrace me? When I am thoughtless, will you understand? Will you believe in me, stand by me willingly? Will you share some of your questions with me? If you will show me acceptance, then I may learn to give as you do. Then I may learn to give. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me, comfort me tenderly? Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you do. Then I may learn to love.
We are a people of all ages who bring our joys and concerns to this time together. We hope that you experience a welcome that helps you find the connection of mutual support, a spirituality that helps you find meaning, peace to ground you, and a zest for rediscovering life as it unfolds. We invite you to let us be a resource in our common quest to celebrate happy moments, seek healing and wholeness, and continually rediscover whoever and wherever we each might be on the path of existence. For those of you joining in person after the service, you can take a stone from the bowl at the back of the sanctuary and place it here in our fellowship chalice as a symbol of our loving community surrounding you supportively. Or you can join a member of our care team outside who will be offering a listening presence. For those of you attending virtually, you can share in the chat box whatever joy, concern, prayer request, or intention might be in your heart and on your mind. We will place a stone in our chalice now for you on your behalf. For care and connection during the week, please reach out to Minister Allie or to Reverend Leah, or contact our office. If you'd like to be included in our weekly care email, just call or email anyone on staff or fill out our website form. May the joys and concerns that we share with each other, or that we simply hold in our hearts' silent sanctuaries, draw us together so that our joy is amplified, our sorrow comforted, and our life journeys witnessed. We now turn our attention to the joys and concerns wider than those in this gathered community. We allow our mind and heart to reach out in ever-widening circles, outward like the ripples in water. This act of heart expanding might feel, and I hope it can feel, joyful, or sometimes it might feel uncomfortable. And our faith reminds us that stretching ourselves in this way to awareness is the first movement toward creating a community more filled with love and justice. Our first stone into our water is for the joys, concerns, and transitions that are here among us. As the water ripples outward, we add another stone to expand our hearts to the United States, which is in the midst of redrawing new electoral maps after the 2020 census, and we hold the need for fair and free elections in our hearts. As the ripples continue, we add our final stone for the wider world, a recognition of our deep interconnection with those across borders and oceans. This week, we hold the people around the world who are affected by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, who do not have the same level of access to vaccination as we do here in the United States. We pray for equitable access to medicine around the world. We enfold all who are celebrating and all who are suffering in the embrace of our hearts, and we commit ourselves to acts of compassion and justice in service to those circles beyond our own. May this moment of silence help to make it so.
Our time together is coming to a close, which means our time to return to the greater world and our daily lives is beginning. Our hope is that each week when we worship together, we provide each other with inspiration and empowerment to connect our values into action. Remember that there are always ways to get connected here, both in person and online, and to live our faith more fully. Be sure to read the weekly Scroll emailed newsletter for more information, or let us know if you would like to be added to that mailing list. Also, check out the back of your order of service for some highlights about what is coming up. Now, as we prepare our hearts to leave this gathering, we invite you to ponder what you wish to take home with you. What lesson, idea, or theme you will carry with you from this time together back into your daily life. In a moment, we will ask everyone to say their word out loud, so take a moment to consider what you will take home. And if you're on Zoom, we invite you to type your word into the chat box. And now, all together, we will say our words, a joyful chorus of our intentions for the week. So don't leave your neighbors hanging. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's good to be together.
As we come to the end of our service, we will exchange our chalice flame, even as we still hold its light in our hearts. Please join me in our unison words. As we extinguish this flame, let us go our ways with hope in our hearts, with our spirits renewed, and with a deeper understanding of life's mystery. Let us carry the light of compassion and commitment to build a better world. After the final closing words, we will hear a postlude song. We invite those of you who want to stay in the sanctuary or on Zoom for a time of sharing and conversation about the themes of our service. Everyone is welcome to use that time to log off or to make your way out of the building to allow for time to circulate clean air. And with that, go in open-mindedness, go in connection, go in peace, knowing we wait to embrace you upon your return. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, second service in particular was stopping.